Hello, all my fine fellow projectors, wherever you are and whenever you are. I thought I'd come on here and talk about the last little episode of having to take somebody out of the lounge. I want to thank everybody for weighing in with what you think and what you feel about that situation. Yeah, as most of you know, I've been running this page that I created for 13 years now, something like that, 12 years. And I've always tried to make it a safe place for projectors to be able to come in and a place where they could talk about their experiences in this experiment. And all in all, it's been a pretty good run so far. But one thing I've tried to be transparent with what I do in there. And when somebody finally comes in there and gives me a reason to kick them out, I've always tried to, like I said, be right up in front with everyone and tell them why I did that. And I just found it so interesting that all the feedback that I get when I make it transparent like that. Everybody's got an idea, everybody's got an opinion, everybody's got thoughts about it, and I've always mostly welcomed all of that because it gives me feedback into how I'm doing things in there. But it also gives me a lot of insight into the people that are telling me what they think. And I just find that so interesting. It's one of the reasons that I do enjoy running a page like this. I'm an old 6.2 splenic projector way off the roof. I mean, I'm so off the roof that the roof and the actual building have collapsed, so there really is no roof anymore. I'm out here floating around away from all that stuff, kind of just looking around and being. And I just try to be the best that I can. And that's one of the things about 6.2s. Yeah, we're not here to preach. We're not here to tell you this or that. We're just here to live, to try to live the best life that we live. And the role model kind of deal. The only way that I can really teach anybody is by living my life as accurately as I can. And if you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. But anyway, back to me having to escort somebody out. I do want to thank you all for all the input. And I tell you, I really appreciated the one, I forget who posted it, but the one about the 5-1 to get, I got so much insight into what 5-1s go through. And here again, this is what this page is about, to be able to understand a little bit more your fellow projectors and how different each of us are. That was a really good post, man. You 5-1s and 3-5s stepped up and talked about your fives. Wow. Anyway, so to be a little bit more transparent is what led up to me having called the White Rabbit out, which I didn't call the White Rabbit out. I actually did it myself. Back in the early days, I used to have an evil queen that we'd have off with their head kind of stuff. And oh my God, quite a few people were just freaked out about that. They just had a hard time with me having public beheadings. Yeah, and so I kind of retired her into the back room and pulled out a White Rabbit. The White Rabbit to just escort the people out. People who tended to think that was a more gentle way of doing it. But every time I've ever had to kick somebody out, I've always got all the feedback from so many people. And like I said before, it gives me a little bit of an idea, gives me a little insight of where people are at in their experiment by how they react and interact in situations like this. And I just find that so cool to be able to sit back and observe and get so much information. I don't know, that's just me. But anyway, I want to thank the people that gave me the first heads up about a problem being with this fella. And that got me to kind of watching him. I put all of his stuff on approval, and so I would get to read it before I posted it, you know. And the first red flag I had is he was posting PayPal posts in there, and I messaged him and told him he couldn't do that. But yet I found that he had these PayPal links in quite a few of the comments, so I wound up pulling 15 of them out. So that was a big red flag. And I had pulled up his chart that he presented when he first arrived. And then, as his post continued, there was a post about a 55 and one about a something, I forget, some channel. And then the triple split deal. And I remembered that his original chart that he put up there, he didn't have a 55, he didn't have that channel, and he was a single definition. So I called him out on it publicly. You know, oh man. Yeah, he didn't take kindly to being called out at all. And really got vocal about it until I explained to him that, you know, it didn't resonate with the chart. And then he told me about the other charts that he put up. Altogether, 3 different charts, I think, that he has posted in there. So I don't know if he knew what he really is, or I have no idea. But then he started getting really rough at his post, and really showing to me, the problems that he was going through. So finally, I had to just I had to take him out. And like I said, I'm glad that everybody, and that's one reason that I do that. I want to get people's responses to how I'm running the page and what I do in there. I want you guys to know what I'm doing in there. I know the other page I'm still an admin with, the projector page. I know it's run quite differently, and that's one reason I walked away from it. I didn't really care. One, I didn't really care for having to deal with all types in there and all the blah, blah, blah that all the different types are putting in there about this and that. I just had a hard time with that. So I gave it to Cohen. Let him take care of all of that. He was he was the sheriff in there, and I'm still always, I haven't heard much lately, but there for a pretty good while I was hearing how much of a dictator he was in there. And in my page, I tell you, I'm a dictator, but I'm a benevolent dictator. I try to be as gentle as I can in there, you know, except for the evil queen, you know. Anyway, that's about all. Like I said, I want to thank you all for coming in there and voicing your opinions, both pros and cons and everything, and y'all mostly did a pretty good job of keeping it civil, you know. I really appreciate that. There was a lot of information put out, a lot of stuff that people can learn from, and I purposely keep this stuff up so others can go in and kind of follow the journey that I went through and follow the journey that everybody else went through. It's a really good learning experience. So it is what it is, or at least in my perception. If you don't like it, you're welcome to let me know. All right. I've been sitting there watching a red-tailed hawk bouncing around between the trees right here on my riverfront. I haven't seen anybody since I started this, but they're out there. All right, y'all. Be good to each other, eh? Be good to yourself. Bye.